Are you looking to buy a new iPhone and debating between the new entry-level 15 and last year's top-of-the-line 14 Pro, which are very similarly priced by the way? Or maybe you own an iPhone 14 Pro and are considering whether to upgrade to the 15 or not, but getting thoroughly confused with all of the technical language in the reviews, and the processing speed and the megapixels and the focal length, and wondering if someone can just explain this to you in simple English and tell you what's the difference between the two phones and which ones you should buy. Well, I'm Akshay Goenka, and today I'm going to do exactly that. It's important to consider all of the factors, so do watch till the end, and at any time if you have a question, just drop it down in the comments and I'll reply. Let's go. First, in terms of design, the iPhone 15 boasts a sleek look that oozes modernity. It's like a piece of futuristic art in your hand, and Apple has ever so slightly rounded the edges around the corners, making it slightly easier to hold in your hand and giving it a more everyday, comfortable kind of vibe. It also has a matte frosted look on the back glass, which blends in really well. It comes in a whole suite of these pastel-y colors this year, which look great. But on the other hand, the iPhone 14 Pro has the sharp, rectangular shape, 90-degree edges, making it feel more like a precious piece of jewelry. And you can really feel the edges in your hand. This is a totally personal, subjective choice. But I personally like the iPhone 14 Pro's body more, which is more like a sharp, well-cut suit that stands out in a crowd, versus the 15, which blends in like your Sunday afternoon tea and shorts. Next, let's talk about the screen. Both models feature a 6.1-inch OLED display, which is great. But the 14 Pro takes the clear lead here with a super smooth 120Hz refresh rate, making everything from scrolling to gaming feel incredibly smooth, and trust me, this really matters in practical use. Meanwhile, the 15 kind of lags behind the industry with 60Hz, which is surprising on a latest generation phone. What this really means is that as you scroll an article or your messages or watch a video, the smoothness of the ever-changing text is determined by this refresh rate. And on a high refresh rate phone like the iPhone 14 Pro on 120Hz, reading feels like you're moving actual paper, and the lower refresh rate phones like the iPhone 15 on 60Hz makes it feel a bit blurry when you scroll. Now let's dive into the thing that really sets the iPhone apart and the thing that you care the most about: the camera. Both phones actually feature a 48 megapixel wide camera, a 12 megapixel ultra wide lens, which is the lens you use when you zoom out of the shot. However, the main difference is that the iPhone 15 skips the 12 megapixel telephoto lens, which is there on the 14 Pro, which is the one you use to zoom in. And you start to think that this is actually a big point of difference, but then you realize, wait, there's a twist. Due to its larger sensors, the 15 captures even better photos with its wide main camera, and it can actually zoom in 2x like an optical zoom lens with no loss of quality compared to the 3x on the iPhone 14 Pro, which it needs an actual lens to do. That's pretty cool and almost eliminates the difference and catches the 15 up to the 14 Pro. But where it really catches up and actually even overtakes is on the portrait mode feature. This is something that only Apple can do, something you never thought you needed, but once you use it every day, it's almost as big of a deal as everything else about the camera. The iPhone 15 lets you change between the normal and portrait mode shots after you take the picture. So no more taking a picture of someone normally and then switching to portrait mode and taking another one to get that macro focus and the blurry backgrounds you can choose later. You can literally take out your phone, point and shoot, and then make a choice on which one you like later. It's like taking two photos with one. If there's two subjects in the picture, you can even switch between the two focal points of the shot to see who you want to focus on afterwards. For me, this is where the iPhone 15 really surges ahead. Next, the battery. Don't stress about battery life anymore because both of these phones come with monster batteries that can easily last you all day. When it comes to video playback, the 15 offers an impressive 20 hours of playback, whilst the 14 Pro goes a step further with about 23 hours. But in real world testing, both of them are going to last you till the end of the day, and I don't think this is a big differentiating factor. Now next, let's talk about the heart of these devices, processor. It so happens there's actually nothing to choose between the both because they have the same beast of a chip called the A16 Bionic. The iPhone 15 actually didn't get a new chip this year. It got the last year's 14 Pro chip. Rest assured though that with Apple's great software and this chip, there's going to be no task on your phone that's not going to feel zippy for the everyday user like you or me. It's less of a decision factor, but more of a surprise that Apple now uses last year's Pro chips in this year's entry-level phones. It's not a bad thing though, this is a seriously good chip. The iPhone 15 does have one slight edge though, given it has a new ultra-wideband chip that enables precision location tracking. This allows you to do things like find your friends almost to the exact spot they are standing in, even in a crowded space. Pretty useful. Now, let's talk about the feature that you've been waiting for, USB-C. And the word that comes to mind is finally! Finally, you can share your charger with your friends and co-workers and stop needing to buy so many adapters. This is better for the environment, this is better for you. What's more, given that this is a choice Apple has made due to the EU law requiring it to do so, in a year or two, the old legacy Lightning products will slowly start disappearing from the market. And hence, the resale value of your iPhone 15 will be much higher for much longer than your iPhone 14 Pro. Now, let's talk about the budget. iPhone 15 launched starting at £799 or dollars or 125,000 rupees in India. And the iPhone 14 Pro is still listed on Amazon and many sites at $899 a pound or 120,000 rupees. So they're pretty close. That said, Apple has actually stopped officially selling the 14 Pro on their website. If you're trying to buy one, it'll only be available on the third parties till stocks last. So how do you choose between the iPhone 15 and the 14 Pro? Both to buy and also to upgrade? Well, to me, it's pretty simple. If you're buying, I definitely get the 15 over the 14 Pro, even though it's an entry-level model phone versus the last year's top of the line and has fewer camera lenses and slightly smaller battery on paper, I would still buy the 15. The reason is the better camera system on the 15 that has the same functionality, but then the added bonus of the post-clicking portrait mode, the higher resale value because of its move to USB-C, and the thinner bezels and softer design. If you currently own an iPhone 14 Pro, the resale value might still be okay, but will drop pretty fast. So if you're looking for an upgrade, now is the time. If you don't want to shell out too much extra cash, you can probably still sell it for 400 to 600 bucks, looking at what resale is listed at right now on websites like Amazon, and kick in another 100 to 200 bucks for an iPhone 15. But honestly, if you can spend a bit more, I would upgrade to the amazing new iPhone 15 Pro, which is in a class of its own. And there's never been a bigger gap than the Pro and the non-Pro models before. So if you're thinking about that, I have just the video for you to make it easy to understand why. Click here and see you there.